Hey, what's up guys, TechTime here and I'm back again with a brand new video. Before I begin, really quickly, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, leave a thumbs up if you like this video. And with that being said, I have used the 2024 Moto G Stylus 5G for about a week, so I have kind of a more definitive conclusion about this phone. Now here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to cover the design, the display, the performance, the features that this phone has, and things of that nature. But first with the design real quick, 1 week later, I really enjoyed using this vegan leather material. As far as grip wise, it provided a nice grip in the hand. It looks really good. It almost looks like a premium phone that you cannot tell that this is only a $399 device. Now, one of the things that I do have a nitpick about when it comes to this kind of material is that it does get dirty quickly, and it's much harder to clean than the, let's say, like a glossy material or a matte finish material. But besides that, I really didn't have a problem with this material. It actually feels really solid, really grippy in the hand. Now, the sides of the phone are made out of plastic, which kind of debunks the quality a little bit, but I'm not too mad about it. I know at the end of the day, this is a mid-range device, and it still feels really good in the hand. As far as your kind of port goes, on the bottom of the phone, you have your 3.5mm headphone jack, your microphone, your USB-C charging port, your speaker, as well as the housing and the stylus itself, which we will definitely have a segment for later on in the video. As far as your buttons go, on the right hand side, you do have the power button and the volume up and down, and these buttons are fairly tactile for plastic buttons. They feel good in the hand. They work very well. So overall, from a design perspective, they really did their thing, and they managed to bring up the level of the Moto G Stylus way above and beyond my expectations, especially comparing it to previous generation. So the next in the conversation has to be the display itself. So this time around, Motorola gave us a 6.7-inch POLED display that I'm shocked that they even did an OLED display. I didn't see this coming at all, but with that being said, it's a nice large screen that has kind of almost squared sides, which makes the content watching and content consumption look really good. So it is a 1080p display, which obviously it's not gonna be like a 2K display or anything like that. However, that doesn't matter. Honestly, I'm fine with the 1080p. There is slight glare here and there, but that didn't really bother me all that much. I can live with it. The brightness on this phone is fairly well, so this phone does get really bright thanks to that OLED display. And in addition to all of that, this phone does support the ability to have up to 120 Hz of refresh rate. So you have three options in terms of that. You have the ability to either keep it in automatic mode, where it will decide whether you want the 120 Hz or not, or you can just flip it between 60 or 120. I personally recommend 120, even though it's going to consume your battery a little bit faster. However, spoil yourself, man. Come on, enjoy the phone. In addition to all of that, this phone does also support an in-display fingerprint sensor, which again shocked me, the fact that they even added this with this device. So some of us might be thinking that $399 is a lot of money for this phone, but honestly, if you count all these features, you'll see that it's kind of worth it. So the fingerprint sensor on here works as well as you would expect, just on par with other in-display fingerprint sensors. Obviously, it's not going to be as fast as an actual fingerprint sensor. However, it was reliable, I would say 80% of the time. And again, watching videos on this phone felt like a good experience. So your content consumption, watching videos, going through social media, anything that will require you to take advantage of the display will feel like a really good experience. Again, I want to get back to the point that this is a major step up in Motorola's Stylus lineup. So definitely have to give a thumbs up for Motorola in that regard. And even the speaker on here is really good. Lineup of 2024. So let's talk about them, beginning with the design itself. So the back itself has this kind of frosted material that, while it looks good, it feels decent, it is very slippery and it does catch fingerprints, and it does have this really nice dark blue color that makes it stand out a little bit. However, I do have to say that this phone almost looks like a OnePlus relic. So it does use the Dolby Atmos speaker system, and it does have a bottom facing speaker and a subwoofer or a secondary speaker to give you that more immersive speaker, and it sounds really good on the phone. So overall, the display combined with a good speaker just makes for a really good experience. Now, the next in my conversation has to be the camera system. So in 2024, Motorola gave us a dual camera setup instead of this kind of wacky triple camera setup with that wacky macro sensor. But basically you get a 50 megapixel main sensor with optical image stabilization, as well as a 13 megapixel ultra wide that also combines that macro sensor. So they didn't add an additional camera piece for it. Now, my experience with the camera itself, first of all, the UI itself was really good to use, just what you would expect from Motorola. Taking pictures was almost instantaneous, so nothing really nothing really to complain about there. Even switching between modes such as photo or video mode and going between the main sensor and the wide angle sensor was quick and just a smooth experience. Now, one of the things that this phone also supports is the ability to record in 4K, which was missing in previous generations. And again, this is another category that Motorola stepped it up. So it seems like with every category so far, Motorola did something really good or just stepped up the phone to a different level. Now, you can record 4K video at up to 30 frames per second and things of that nature. I did test out the camera for a week. I am going to be doing a full dedicated camera with more pictures that will be coming in really soon. But basically, here's your TLDR. So this phone takes some really good pictures as far as I'm concerned, better than the previous generation. If there's one slight complaint is that sometimes these pictures are not that bright or not as bright as I would like them to be, and there's kind of lower contrast, but overall as far as pictures go, they're really good in my opinion, and even the selfie camera is a step up from the previous generation. So as far as I'm concerned, this camera gets a thumbs up from me so far, and I have literally nothing to complain about it. But in my full camera review, we will be talking about low light performance, the night mode on here, and I will show you guys a sample of a video. I just don't want to do that on here just yet, just because of how long this video is going to be. So make sure you stay tuned for that full camera review. Next in my list of conversation is going to be the performance itself. So this time around, Motorola gave us a octa-core processor, which is the Qualcomm Snapdragon Gen 1. Combine that with 8 gigabytes of RAM. The locked version, you can get 128 gig of standard storage. The unlocked 399 version gets a 256 standard storage, a 5000 milliamp hour battery, 30 watt of fast charging, or for the first time ever, which is another step up here, a 15 watt wireless charging that works really well. So combine that with all these things, what I have to say about the performance is that this phone performs really well so far. Managing apps, going through my daily tasks, going through social media, anything that requires light use works well. And when you start going to heavy demanding uses is where you'll kind of see where this phone lacks. So the performance is definitely not this phone's strongest suit. It's in the mid-range of things. It's not bad by any means, but it's not going to be top of the line performance. So for my gamer heads, one of the things that I want to talk about is that when it comes to kind of lighter titles such as this game here, this phone performed really well. It did get kind of warm, but nothing too outrageous or nothing too alarming, I would say. So just your average. Yeah, so more heavy demanding games, you may see frame drops. This phone may lag just a little bit. However, for the most part, it works well in that regard. Alright, so now I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the stylus of this phone, since technically this is supposed to be the highlight of the phone. So let's save the best for last. Basically, this phone has a similar stylus design to the previous generation, so it still has this kind of click thing, and hopefully this time around it doesn't slide out. So far it hasn't, but durability is all about time, so we'll see how it lasts as far as it's staying inside the phone. Basically, you can pull the stylus out. Once you do that, it will give you a couple of options initially. So you have things like your Moto note, screenshot, GIF maker, your handwriting calculator, and your live message. And you can also add more stuff. So obviously not all apps will support it, but the ones that do, or the ones that try to take advantage of it, you can just add them right there. Or it could be a way for you to use a shortcut for your apps. My favorite feature is this live message feature, which allows you to write out what you want and it will kind of create a video reenacting what you wrote. So this is good for, I would say, teachers, people that want to use this phone as a way to guide their, let's say, students through an equation or things of that nature. So you can write out your equation, type it out the way that you want to type it out, and then play it back as a video. which again can be useful. Other than that, you can use the same features from the previous generation with the stylus. So take a picture, draw on the picture, use your use your imagination for the stylus, or you can even do things such as sign documents and things of that nature. Will I be using the stylus full time? Not really. Is it nice to have? Of course. Why not? So that's another thing that I don't want to say added, but that's another thing that you have on here. So here's my rough conclusion 1 week later. This is definitely a phone that hits or checks every category that you would want in a good phone. A nice display, a good design, a decent camera. Performance maybe not the best, but you get wireless charging, you get a stylus, you get really fast wire charging, and a big screen if you're into a bigger screen device. So definitely a competitive device. Now you can get the unlocked version, but the unlocked version is on the expensive side, which is $399. If you want the locked version, you can get it at discounted with carriers. Now the difference is the storage. So the unlocked version does give you standard 256. The locked only gives you 128. Overall though, this is definitely a really competitive phone. And if you compare it to the previous generation, again, it's a major step up. So if you have that generation and you want to upgrade, highly recommend it. And let me say this before I end the video. This, in my opinion, might be the phone of the year as far as your budget devices go. It's better than the A15, it's better than the A25, it's almost, or I would say in some situations, better than the A35 from Samsung. So Motorola did their thing so far with this phone, and with that being said, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will definitely catch you guys in the next one. Thank you all for watching.